Hello there, it's me, Sari here again. Today I thought I'd try out making a couple of molds with this mold and pour clay system. There are 2 jars, and as long as you don't mix them, you can actually look at them, you can even open the jar without any hassle. All you need to think about is when you start mixing these, they react, and then you need to be quick about putting your thing in and such. So first off, you're going to need to take equal parts of clay, and you need to sort of measure how much you're going to need for both the bottom piece as well as the thing itself. I'm hoping this is going to be enough. And remember, I can actually put it there and just try to get out a little bit of this, and then I could start sort of weighing and measuring them together to each other, and I think these are equal in size. I like to close these, and now I have to be quick about this because these need to be totally mixed in to each other. If I leave something lighter grey in that grey, darker grey, I'm not going to get that perfect mold. It's not going to dry completely. It's going to be a bit doughy inside. So you really need to be pretty quick about this because you don't have that many seconds to do it. So you need to be quick, as I tell you. So it's a bit stressful, I say. And then I'm going to make it into a ball. And I could actually just look at, yeah, it seems like it's blended. I'm going to make it into a ball and make a little bit of a bottom for it, and now I'm going to push this in there, and I'm going to let that sit there for a minute or two. So I think I'll try making a cogwheel, and since that one is a bit flatter, I'm hoping I won't be needing that much, but I've done the mistake before taking too little. And then I come to regret it, since this is a bit expensive. I think they're okay. And now the mixing begins. So I'm just going to use my thumb to work it in, mixing them and doughing them, sort of. But the most important thing is to really blend the colors. It's a nice texture to it. It's really nice and soft and smooth. And it's a good workout for your hands as well. So now that I'm going to roll it into a ball, and I'm sure I'll be out of frame now. I hope I'll be able to put it there. I'm going to flatten it out beforehand because I know it's going to need that. So for the next object I need to make it a little bit bigger, I think, because it does need some kind of outing wall. If I'm going to pour some utee into that, I'm going to need that high edge so the utee won't pour outside. But now that I have waited, let's say 10 or 15 minutes, this one has hardened. So it is a more flexible mold form. And now I just have to get that cog out of there without breaking. You see, this is going to loosen up so nicely. this is turning out really well. So I'm hoping I'll be able to make something out of this. I'm not sure. I thought I'd just give it a go while I'm filming this. There are some bits and pieces here and there, but this is going to be really exciting. So this shape is almost the same, and you see that I've got a nice solid surface to work on. And I'm just going to give it a little squeeze just to get that out of that mold. And that's looking really nice. And as for this one, it has also got a nice surface. And here it is. So it's going to be nice to see what it looks like. As I told you before, I have seen them come and go in purple and white and blue and white and such. And I thought that I'd make a couple of molds. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that because they are sort of flat. But this is some sort of a self-drying clay, but it does take 24 hours or so. And this is soft from the get-go, so you needn't blend it too much. And well, I thought I'd just give it a go, see if I can squeeze it together. I'm back with a melting pot, you see, right. I have just turned it on and poured some powder in it, and I'm thinking it will take me 5 minutes or so to melt that. And I just wanted to show you that I did try to make a cogwheel with, believe it or not, heating powder in a deep saucepan, sort of deep like this. And I actually did get it to melt to that point so I could pour it into this mold. But it was a slow process, and I kept the heat tool in the pan as at the same time as I poured it here. And as you can see, it isn't really that fantastic. It is sort of, I don't know how to call it really. It isn't even and smooth as it should be. There you can see what it looks like. But it's a good learning example of how to do that. And what about these then? Well, they have been drying here for, let's say, perhaps not 12 hours, but between 8 and 10 hours. They are beginning to be ready, but they still feel a bit moist. I'm not sure if you can see that there's a difference in color there and there. So I'm thinking that the thinner parts have dried, whilst this part here needs to dry until tomorrow before it is complete. Perhaps you can see the difference better with these two. There is a blueness to that clay in the center pieces. So of course it's going to dry from the outsides to the center, and the same thing goes for this key. So I thought I'd just try to see what happens. So I bought myself a melting pot, And this is actually the first time I'm going to use it. I have used a melting pot before, but I haven't had one of my own before. So I thought I'd see what could happen if I were to make my own black utee cogwheels. And the benefit of melting utee and pouring it into a flexible mold like this is that it actually hardens pretty quick. So it's quite a pretty quick process as soon as you have gotten that utee to melt, that is. I have also heard that if you want to strengthen the utee to make these a little bit more durable, well, there's something called a utee flex. I didn't buy this time. It sort of makes the utee thicker and chewier, if I should say so. It's going to be, well, yeah, it's going to be thicker, that is. I'm sort of eager. I want to get started, and it has started melting there, so it's a good thing. Just have to wait a couple of minutes. And if I were, you know, you can blend different utee colors if you want to. Some people say that the first thing you should do is to buy a really big jar of clear, because that is the base. Then you could add a little bit of perhaps bronze, or perhaps pearl, or perhaps something of those funky colors that they got. You could also just make something with different colors if you wanted to. Just melt them. Just pour some pieces, a little bit here and there and there. And when the powders have melted, then you're going to take that craft tool. And you really need this tool, because if you're going to use a baking utensil, it's going to melt, because it isn't heat resistant. What this one is, this one actually stands the heat. So in order not to get bubbles, you shouldn't stir too much if you don't need to. But if you want to get a marbled effect, mixing different colored utee, well, of course, you just need to shift it smoothly, gently, not do it in a hasty fashion. Well, we are almost there. It's going to be so much fun. And one more thing that you should know about utee is that when you have finished your projects and you think that, well, I'm not going to do anything more today, well, you could just close the machine down and let the utee stay in that pot. Because the good thing is that since this is a surface that actually releases the utee easily, you can just lift it off later and just put it in a jar or something for storage later. If I were to feel like, well, I'm not happy with it, I could just put it in there, let that melt. Let's do that, because I'm not that happy with it. So as long as I feel like that I have got the same color and I don't want to mix any other colors, I can just put it in there and let that melt with the rest. So let's see if I can make this one work. You can see me there. Just going to lift this, and then you are going to have a different way of working with this, because you do need to use both your hands, and you need to take care, because when it starts to pour, you actually need to go on the outside as well. And you need to be able to, well, there it is. So it is going to drop a little longer after you have stopped pouring, so you need to take that into consideration. You know, this feels warm underneath, and if I just lift it a little, I can see that it has set, and if I touch it, it's ready. So it's really that quick. So now I need to give it a nice squeeze, or I could just wait a little. This one isn't that hot, and this one is almost loose by itself. So this is the result. Not that pretty, but then of course the utee is pretty soft, so you can actually make something out of it, but this is it. I'm not sure if that is what I want. Let's see with this one is a little bit smaller. This one also feels a little bit hot in the center, but it does feel, yeah, I just have to dare to pop it out, and there you have it. So since this is still a little bit warm, you could perhaps, well, this is actually pretty hard. I did try this a couple of years ago. Try to trim this a little bit since it is still sort of warm. And just put the excess there. But you know, it isn't always the perfect result I'm getting, but I just wanted to show you how quick it is to make these utee molds, and perhaps it's nice to have them a little bit thicker than the original ones. So let's see if I can dare to pop this one out. So this one became sort of alright. It is a cogwheel anyway. And I'll have to wait for that one a little, but this one must be ready. Yeah, there it came. Just look at that face. It's beautiful, isn't it? And I could enhance this with some Inca Gold shimmer paste later. And I've got this key also I could go for. This is going to be a deep key. And this is the drawback, of course, using this. But look at the detail. It's just wonderful, isn't it? So this is still warm, so I might succeed in shaping it a little. But I don't dare to do too much because I'm thinking I'll break it. These are very delicate to see. Perhaps I could cut. If my memory serves me correctly, I could actually cut these. But since it is plastic, it's going to break if you are waiting too long. Like so. Well, if I'm going to put this on a mixed media layout, I'm going to like it for the depth, I'm sure. So let's see about the little my girl. What is she going to be like? Well, she has a lot of excess utee here and there. Just going to try to find those feet, cut that off. Try to cut that piece away as well, while it is still hot. And the more delicate the parts are, of course, the more careful you need to be, unless you want to start all over. But a good pair of scissors is pretty handy, useful. So this is going to break almost, so I'm going to stop there. And I'm hoping that with a little bit of Inca Gold shimmer paste, I'll be able to make her pop, make her come to life. So here is my little small tutorial of how to make these molds and how to work with utee. I definitely do recommend you to buy a machine like this, because it is great fun to make something of your own, even though you're not going to get perfect results all the time. And I would recommend you to wait until it has cooled down before you're going to start peel off this. And if it doesn't succeed peeling off, well, just remelt it again and then pour it off onto perhaps a craft sheet like this. Let it dry or cool, and then just break it up and put it in a box or something. Alright, I'm going to sign off right now. Bye bye.